Welcome back to marriage advice for the newly married. And as we were talking, we're going to be dipping into our jar of hot topics. And
here we go.
One last shake-up.
Topic number 2.
Marriage advice for the newly married.
And here we go.
There we go. And before we open it up, for those who may be seeing this for the first time, we're going to be looking at topics for those who are newly married. This is especially those who are for those who are in our own local congregation here in church. I'm a marriage counselor by profession, and together we've done marriage coaching, counseling, mentoring, I have Gottman training. I'll be preparing Rich as well, certified. So just so you know, I've been together for 32 years. So we got some stuff to say. Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, that's it?
Family planning.
Okay, family planning. When you think about family planning, the first thing that comes to my mind is you're married, and hopefully before you got married, you did get a chance to talk about children, when, where, how many, things like that. And I think one of the most important things, I guess, to follow up on is to continue to check in with each other about, what now? Does that still hold? Is that a good, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Just, that should be already have talked about, but now you're just kind of following up because things may change.
So there's family planning of when are we going to have children?
When?
If we want to have children, how many children? What's the time schedule? What's the pace? That's family planning.
When, if, how many?
And how many.
Go ahead.
And then, of course, looking at your job, his job, your schedule, his schedule. Do you want to stay home? Do you want to go to work? So all those kind of plannings that you can just sit and talk through and go through. But I also thought about family planning in the sense of you're already a family. And how do you plan your life? How do you plan for your day-to-day with your priorities in mind? God first, us second, and then our little lovely bambinos third. And so that family planning is something we talked about earlier, is you sit down and you have the 5 P's and you go through how to plan your week. And you can look at previous videos about the 5 P's. So once a week, having a time where you sit and you plan out what we're doing, how we're doing, what do the kids need to get done, what day are we doing it, who's doing what responsibilities. That's what I thought about when I thought about family planning. That's
about as clear as I can think when it comes to just the general aspect of family planning. And I think of also, when I think about on the other side of just the when, if, and how of having children. One thing I will say this, I really do think that especially when you think about having children in the 21st century, it should really be considered of how you're going to educate and raise your children.
Right.
I think that increasingly in modern times, and again, I'm trying to because we got a full spectrum here. I think if I had to have a child now, I would prefer they be in a private school or homeschool. I wouldn't have said that because we are products of the public school, baby, all the way. Weetza, remember Weetza? But we are product. But I think that today, the values that are in most public schools curriculums are increasingly becoming really divergent from what we would hold if you're a Bible believer. If you're not a Bible believer, I don't think it's a problem, other than the quality of education and depending on the school. But there's some really wonderful public schools. My thought is, as a Christian, you want to be wise about what pre-K, kindergarten, first grade you're putting your children, not because of the rough school environment, but the actual curriculum, I think, needs to be at least known and thought about. That's my only unusual. That I wouldn't have said that 10 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think about part of having children now is thinking, you have to think about more things, because we can think that everybody is neutral, that we're all on a neutral and a ground, and we all agree about what's best for our children.
Right.
That is no longer the case. You have to seriously think about, what do I believe biblically? And in Deuteronomy, when it says teach them, what are the things you're going to teach them when you walk along the road, when you sit, and when you get up,
lie down,
and when you
get
lie
up. Yep.
down. And wherever you're putting your child, if it goes counter to what you would teach, you have to take your kid out of that. And you have to be prepared to put them, or do it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in general, I think that as long as you have a couple that the man is willing to work, the spouse is willing to work, if they need, most times nowadays, both need to be working. I believe that, and we've had some really horrific financial times. People have brought us groceries at one point.
Oh, yeah.
And just to help us get through week to week, because we were hitting a rough patch. We lived with my mother for a while because we got behind. So you're going to have rough patches no matter what. And I think that having children needs to be, it's an act of faith. There will never be enough money. So I just think that's the truth. I think, I got to be wise. You got to this. Yeah, true. I don't want to sound like I'm pie in the sky. But at the same time, it can't be done out of a fear of, we won't have enough money. Because the truth is, you're never going to have enough money. You're never going to have. So I think talk a lot about it, get input about it. But I think it's good. Having children is the calling, right? To be fruitful and multiply. The Genesis mandate applies, right?
And the other big part of family planning is, before you have children, you have to bring children into an atmosphere that is already with routines for putting God first. That I put God first, you put God first. What's our routines around that? And then how do we put each other first? What are our routines around that? So when you have children, it's just another layer of, now, how do we take care of this child? But we already have strong systems for putting God first, putting each other first. And now we realize how together we could take care of this new person that God has given us.
I will close on that. That's perfect. What are you building now without children that is going to be an atmosphere of spirituality that's going to be able to pass deep faith and closeness to God and to each other now? Have it now, and that's what your children are coming into.
Yes. One
bit of encouragement, a book that I just think is very, very, very good if you're for family planning for your marriage, in terms of protecting your marriage. It's a book called by Dr. John Gottman, I think another author, I'm not sure, but Dr. John Gottman, and Baby Makes Three. It was once said that having a baby, he said having a baby is like having a beautiful grenade go off in your marriage. And Baby Makes Three is a great book to read up on, what are some of the things we're going to be looking forward to when we have a child. And again, if some couples are not going to have children, but for those who are, and Baby Makes Three is a great, great place to start in terms of getting ready. This has been great. Family plan, like there was only 2 words.
Family planning.
And until we see each other again, this has been great.